All right, let's move into some of the most primitive primates, which are known as strepsirrhines. Let's talk about some of their features. Remember that these are primates that are called strepsirrhines because they have, matter of fact, retained strepsirrhine, which is a split upper lip and wet nose. We already know that strepsirrhine is an ancestral mammalian trait where you have a wet nose that is integrated to the lip, and it causes this kind of split upper lip, the wet nose, and rhinarium is an area where if it's wet, then you also have a heightened sense of smell, and you typically also have whiskers or vibrissae. And this is something that we see inherited, at least this feature, with some of the most primitive primates, which are known as strepsirrhines for that reason. When you look at strepsirrhines, they have ancestral and derived traits, like many lineages, but let's cover them. So, in terms of traits that lemurs and lorises that have retained some of the ancestral traits from, or inherited the ancestral traits from ancestral mammals, is a grooming claw, having typically a longer snout or larger snout, whiskers, wet nose, this is all strepsirrhine, split upper lip, and having a tapetum lucidum. So they also did inherit that. Derived traits, of course, having convergent eye orbits and a postorbital bar, making them a primate. But they also have a derived trait that's only for their lineage. And so it's a trait that only gets put on their tree, and it's known as a tooth comb. As I mentioned, right, we look at strepsirrhines, they have derived traits that include the convergent eye orbits as well as a postorbital bar, but they also have one that's only for their lineage. So see, the little red tick mark is only on their branch because this is a trait only lemurs and lorises have, right? It's known as a tooth comb. The tooth comb is only on the mandible or lower jaw of lemurs and lorises, and it includes the incisors and canines of the lower jaw or mandible, and they jut out. You can see on this image, this is the mandible of a ring-tailed lemur. To the far right, you can see furthest to the right extent, you can see the teeth that are basically in line with the front of the jaw, and they jut out or extend, and they are tightly packed that are very reminiscent of a comb, and that's exactly what these types of creatures use it for. They will use it to groom their fur and hair. They'll do it to groom the hair and fur of another lemur in their troop. They'll do that to get knots out of their hair. They'll do it to remove bugs and other ticks and parasitic things. Yes, they can sometimes use the tooth comb to gouge things, but it's mainly for grooming the fur.